Well, hello again, and welcome back to another video thing, and I hope your day and or night is going well. So, Highguard, do you remember that game? That was back in January, which is 20 years ago, so I don't blame you if you don't remember Highguard. But it was the biggest thing at the time, it was the biggest gaming story, and I know this video is super late to the whole event, but I still kind of want to go over the game and just talk with you about it, because I got some opinions, and who knows, maybe you will agree with me. So I was debating kind of skipping over, going over what Highguard was, because let's be real, if you clicked on this video, you definitely know what Highguard was, but for the small 1% chance that you don't remember Highguard, or you don't know what Highguard was, I'm straight up gonna read the Wikipedia article. Highguard was a hero shooter developed and published by Wildlight Entertainment and was released on January 26th, 2026. The game cast players as wardens, competing in team-based matches combining first-person shooter mechanics with mounted combat and destructible environments. And that's all I'm going to explain because I'm sure you know the whole story. And even if you don't, you really don't need to know the whole story. It was everywhere. I'm not sure how you wouldn't have heard of it. So yeah, anyways, I have some points that I would like to go through. Gameplay, graphics, immersion, art direction, and the soundtrack. So that's kind of the format of the video, so I don't really want to waste your time. So let's start. Gameplay. So the gameplay of Highguard, like I said, it was a hero shooter. It was 3v3. There were destructible environments, but when the Wikipedia article said destructible environments, I would take that with a big quotation, the fingers, you know what I'm talking about. I'll put it on screen, there were a few walls that you can break down and reinforce, but that was about as destructible as it got. But essentially, the gameplay is you spawn in, you go mine some diamonds or whatever, and while you're out mining for diamonds, you can also find guns and shit. And then you can use the diamonds to buy gear and stuff. But then eventually this sword thing will spawn in. And then one of the teams needs to pick up the sword, take the sword to the enemy base to initiate the raid. The raid begins, and you have to take a bomb to one of these three locations. And whichever team is able to deplete the enemy team's HQ, health, or base, or whatever, they essentially win. And to be honest, the whole loop of it is kind of boring. I'm not even kidding, I almost fell asleep while playing this game for the first time. And one of the main reasons why it's so boring is because these maps are fucking massive. And I have no idea why they're this big. Because like I said, it's 3v3, right? So half the time while you're mining these diamonds, you're literally doing nothing. I'll be real with you, on multiple occasions I tried to find the enemy team before the sword thing even spawned in. But you can barely find anyone because they're doing the same thing as you. They're running around trying to find the diamonds and shit. It kind of isn't fun until the sword thing spawns in, and because of that, in my opinion, it's really boring in the beginning. But aside from that, the shooting mechanics and the movement is actually not bad. But this game was developed by a bunch of veterans that worked... But this game was developed by a bunch of people who worked on Apex Legends and Titanfall, so I guess that's kind of to be expected. So the gameplay itself wasn't really bad, I didn't have a problem with it personally, but it was more just the maps and the other mechanics of the game that kind of watered it down. And like I said, the destructible environments are pretty much whatever. So they're pretty much non-existent and they get destroyed within the first 5 seconds of the enemy team coming into the base. And speaking of the base itself, one of the other problems I had with the game was that you're supposed to destroy one of these 3 objectives to drain the enemy team's health. You could choose these 2 smaller bombs on the left and right side of the map, which wouldn't take off as much health, or you could go for the heart of the quote-unquote heart of the base, and you can try to take out the enemy team in one go with the destroying the heart. And the problem for me personally was that almost every single time everyone went for the heart. There was no real reason to go for the other 2 really. In my games that I played, it was pretty much only the heart of the map that both teams were going for each time. So not only does that create a problem of repetition and shit, and doing the same thing over and over again and taking the same lanes, it kind of caused the matches to be pretty short because either team would essentially get one tapped and then the match is pretty much over. Another issue I had with the gameplay, and this also kind of goes into the immersion of the game, which I'll talk about later. The wardens, why are they using guns? Like, they're supposed to be these powerful hero, like, fucking, I don't know, like fantasy type wizards and ghouls and warlocks and lightning dude type characters, monsters that they can summon. I think one of them that they added in later with like the first DLC of the game, I think that guy can straight up turn into like a wolf. But basically these characters got like insane powers, but they're using guns, which to me doesn't really make sense, because why wouldn't you just, you know, use your super cool ability things? The horses, or the mount ability thing, that was pretty cool though. I'll give them that. That was at least cool. But yeah, moving on. Graphics. So the graphics of this game, I personally don't really care about graphics in video games. Actually, I prefer if the graphics are kind of like lower quality, kind of like, you know, retro slop or whatever you want to call it. I don't know, I just like how it looks. It just looks fucking cool, in my opinion. But the graphics of this game were pretty decent. It kind of just looks like Apex graphics, which would make sense because, as I said previously, there were people who worked on Apex and Titanfall on this game. So it largely kind of looked like Apex, but with like a filter on it. But yeah, overall, I didn't have a problem with the graphics. I thought they were pretty dope. Immersion. So I really like immersion in video games and really kind of getting immersed into the world or like the gameplay that the game offers. But let me tell you something. The immersion in Highguard was kinda fucking butt. And what do I mean by that? Well, here's a great example comparing Highguard to one of my favorite video games of all time. So you have this, compared to this. This, and this. Do you see what I'm talking about? The map is like completely lifeless. I don't know why certain video games do this, but essentially the immersion of the map and like other parts of audio that happen in the map solely depend on player interactions. So there's no other audio in the map, there's no birds, there's no fucking gunshots in the background, there's no like explosions or anything. It literally has to have player interaction for there to be noises in the map, or else it's just completely silent, which for me really takes me out of the game. So I didn't like it. It wasn't great. It was butt cheeks, and I didn't like it. Art direction. So the art direction of this game, I largely don't have a problem with. I think most of the characters are pretty well designed. I'm not really like a character designer type deal, or like an expert in that field, but largely they look pretty alright, in my opinion. My problem with the game, more or less, it's more that it's kinda confused, maybe. Like I said, the guns compared to like the fantasy type warlock people, creatures, it doesn't really make much sense to me. And because of that, a lot of the outfits, and especially the weapons, kinda don't really look great in my opinion. Except for this shotgun. I kinda like this shotgun thing. I don't know, something about the mag just, it's pretty cool to me. Soundtrack. Okay, so the soundtrack of this game, which I love video game soundtracks, I really love sound design in video games and stuff like that. The soundtrack of this game, it wasn't bad, but it was very generic. Like, I straight up can't remember the theme of Highguard at all. I can't remember any tracks from Highguard. I have like no recollection of any of the tracks in Highguard. It kind of just sounds like your generic fantasy, grandiose kind of, you know, like wizardry. It kind of just blends in with a bunch of other games that are kind of in this same like fantasy genre. So for me, it was largely forgettable and pretty boring. So that's about it in terms of points I wanted to cover. So the conclusion, as they would call it. Overall, Highguard is mostly, in my opinion, a generic kind of like boring game where yes, it can be fun with a friend if you're playing with someone, which I did. I largely had fun playing it with one of my friends, but after that, it's just kind of fucking boring. There's nothing really going on in the game that necessarily sticks out to me. Now, usually I would say you should probably play the game and form your own opinion, or watch gameplay of it to form your own opinion. But the game's gone, so you can't do that. So if I really had to rate Highguard on a scale of 1 to 10, using my scale as you can see on screen, which is pretty dope, I would say Highguard's pretty lame. It didn't really stick out to me, and it's pretty evident that it didn't stick out to a lot of other people either, because like I said, the game is gone. If I remember correctly, Highguard only lasted 14 days. And you know, it sucks because, as much as I didn't like this game, I'm sure there were a few people that did, and at the end of the day, there were people that put time into this game, and I'm sure there were people that believed in this game and really liked it, and there were people that lost their jobs over this, and that sucks, you know? So yeah, that's about it for my opinions. If it wasn't obvious enough, I don't have a script for this video, and I don't plan on making scripts for any future videos. Real quick before I end this video, I would just like to say thank you very much for watching, if somehow you made it this far. It really means a lot to me that you took time out of your day to listen to me talk about bullshit. You know, out of every video that I guess you could have picked, and the fact that you picked mine is pretty cool. So thank you. Like, subscribe. You can leave a dislike if you hated the video. You can leave a comment if you want to. I would love to hear what you think about Highguard. You know, did you get a chance to play it? What did you think about it? You can spread the word about this video and this channel if you'd like to. And join me next time when I will be crucified upside down. I hope you have a nice rest of your day and or night, and I will talk with you later. Bye.